Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Last time I checked, that game started at 7:25. That makes it a primetime football game. Your quarterback went 30 of 37 for 299. You like that?
Yeah.
You like that?
Let's get it. Dude, I live for his post-game locker room speeches. They're great. It's just it's just whether you're a Vikings fan or not, he's just really good at it.
He's really, yes. He is a dynamic public speaker.
Yes.
Like,
but
he's
not
a
in a
great
PJ
public speaker.
Fleck
not
way.
Exactly what I was about to say.
Like Fleck, in fact, we can talk about this on Mackie and Judd today, but I went back and I was, because he did the whole like, everyone wanted me fired, but you wanted me to beat Wisconsin. I'm beating Wisconsin. Temper tantrum at his post-game press conference. So I was curious about what Fleck said. I thought he set the bar pretty high at his introductory press conference, right? So I went back and watched it from 2017, and he said national championships and Rose Bowls and Big Ten Wests, and like not in 6 years he hasn't done any of those things. But I just like his public speaking is amazing, but it feels like a show. It feels like you're being put on or something. He's up there like speaking in all these grandiose terms or whatever. Kevin O'Connell seems so genuine, right? It doesn't feel like he's blowing smoke up the players' rear ends. It feels like he's a genuine human being who is connecting and dynamic, and it's very congruent, I guess.
Yeah, he's great. Yes, and the thing he's done really well too is, and I love this, he very much lets his players know what the public thinks without doing it in a toxic way. So like he very much talks about people didn't believe in this or that, but he doesn't do it in a us against them, which is the traditional coach thing. He does it in the, hey, I'm just putting this out here and we did this. And it's it's a fantastic motivational ploy without it turning toxic.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive.
There was someone sent a clip out on social media yesterday. Actually, I think someone sent it to us through the Score North app. It was a link to a Mike Zimmer clip from when the Bengals were on Hard Knocks like 10 years ago, whenever that was. It was during like the Chad Ochocinco days. And there was a clip of Mike Zimmer. We can't really even play it on the show because we try to keep it clean. Every other word was an F-bomb. He was lighting into his defensive line as if they weren't even human beings during the middle of a game. He was talking to them like they were, animals or something that he was scolding. I told you guys this effing quarterback runs out of the effing pocket. What the F are you? Like he's just belittling them and calling them clowns and stuff. And you can tell they're like, okay. And that's great. Like in the middle of a game, it probably works 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but I don't know. I mean, obviously that style wore out on this locker room.
Yes.
And so we'll set the show up because this might play into what we're going to talk about here. This is Purple Daily Vikings entertainment, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. They're pretty far down that path this year at 9-2. The show is presented by our friends at TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. Also, the official tall boy of this 9-2 season here on Purple Daily is the Before I Die tall boy. But that's not all Surly has to offer during this football season.
No. Surly, you know what it is? It's a great football team, because a great football team has all of the elements of success. They got a great center. They got a great guard. They got positions covered, right? Well, let's start with this, okay? If we're going to equate the purple to Surly, you got to say that the Furious, Justin Jefferson. It's the go-to. It's their most famous great beer. But then you got Logic Bomb, which is probably the quarterback. And then, like Phil said, Before I Die, which represents something that we on the show are passionate about, and that's one damn Super Bowl championship before we die. So yes, Delve into the Surleys, enjoy them, and realize that much like the purple, they are a gift because they are the complete package. Surly Brewing. And, as always, show us your cans at JZolgad, at Score North on Twitter. We love to see what Surly beverage you're drinking.
Amen. Amen. So, all right, the topic today, and we'll get into some depressed Packer fan phone calls, Packer Vent Line on the show today. Judd will guess the PFF grades. We'll get you a playoff picture update. But let's go through some of the things that have surprised us in 2022 so far. Let's start with pleasant surprises, pleasant Viking surprises, and then we'll get into sort of the other side of that coin before the conversation's over. I'll start because I'd love to just kick the conversation off kind of where we started it. I think Kevin O'Connell, everything about him, his demeanor, his dynamic locker room speeches, the way that he talks to the media in a respectful but also sometimes revealing way, without Mike Zimmer was revealing, but sometimes it just felt like he didn't have a plan. He was just mad and throwing players under the bus, Kellen Mond or the offensive line in 2016. It feels like Kevin O'Connell is great as a public speaker on behalf of the team. Scheming offensively, situational football. I can't think of one thing, and I'm sure there are things that could pop up, but I can't think of one area of Kevin O'Connell's coaching game where I say, ooh, he's kind of a train wreck there, other than maybe hiring Ed Donatel to run the defense and having it be 31st in the league in yards per play allowed. That's like the thing you can nitpick. But I think just in general, KOC has been one of the biggest pleasant surprises for this franchise this year.
I think that's absolutely correct because we didn't know, the whole McVay thing is a little bit scary because it's always like, this guy worked with Sean McVay. He knows McVay. He is McVay. And then it's like, oh, no, he's really not. O'Connell has been. And what I love is what I sense also beyond the fact that he can control a crowd and completely control the players and locker room in a positive way, is I love the fact that he strikes me as being very adaptable, which a lot of football coaches aren't. So, if things aren't going right, he tweaks things. Now, I think that's why the Dallas game surprised me so damn much, because more often than not, this season, when things aren't going well, he's still able to keep his calm, keep the team calm, which is probably just as important or more important, and figure it out. I also think that, and because this works, we don't discuss it. But here's a young guy who played QB and who could be incredibly brash, and he is extremely confident, and he should be. But one of the first things he did was say, I need a game management coach with me. That's a big nod. Phil, we have talked about this, and you in particular on the show forever. And there's a lot of guys flat out who are like, oh no, I'm in charge of the game. And they might get some help, but they don't get enough help. I love the fact that a guy who I'm sure thinks, and he does know a lot about the game, sort of nodded to, I'm going to need help. And there is no doubt, and I don't know how, and we don't talk about it much, and it's certainly not discussed, but there is no doubt that I'm sure his behind has been saved more than once by having that voice say, time out here, do this here. And O'Connell goes, on fourth down, he's proven that he goes with his own gut at times, because there have been fourth downs where guys his age who are coaching now go for it, and he won't. He'll punt. But just the minutia behind the scenes game management theory help, we have learned more and more and more can win you games, because it's such a between the margins thing that a lot of coaches don't really get. Yeah,
and I think there's so many examples this year, whether it's the middle eight that they talk about, and I think the Patriots actually outscored the Vikings in the middle eight in this last game on Thanksgiving, the last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. But you can point to at least a small handful of games toward the end of the game where great play calling and or clock management and or timeout preservation helped the Vikings score a touchdown to take the lead or to tie the game in some form. And another thing we talk about on the show a lot is, the NFL is a socialist league in that the league is set up so that every team can be as equal as possible. Equal payroll, like the payroll floor and the salary cap are squeezed tightly together. So every team is basically spending the same amount of money. Unlike baseball, the worst teams get access to the best college players and quarterbacks. It's a league where it's hard to be bad for more than a few years, and there's only a couple franchises that master that, like the Texans and the Lions. And so if the talent is all kind of squeezed together, and the point spreads are usually, it's not like college football where you'll see like 50 point spreads on a Saturday. Even the biggest mismatches are like 13-point spreads for Vegas. They're going to be fairly close games. So how can you win more games and get advantages in the margins? And it's things that you just talked about. It's end game theory. It's end of half theory. It's situational success. And he, to this point, he's put a major emphasis on that. And so it's no coincidence that they are performing at a high level in those situations. So Kevin O'Connell as a big, pleasant surprise.
I'll give you one, and another obvious one too, but just how clutch Kirk Cousins has been. And I know some of this started a little bit last year, and sometimes maybe the defense didn't bail him out. You had a missed kick here and there, that's going to happen. But let's be honest, 6 game-winning drives in the first 11 games of the season, where he has brought this team back when usually you're kind of teeth clenching and, oh, all right, here we go. Like, this is where things spiral out of control. He has been incredibly clutch. Who would have thought 6 game-winning drives and fourth quarter comebacks in 11 games, dude? I mean, that's everything we've been asking for. He went a stretch when he got here where he just had 1 in his first 2 years. I mean, 32 starts and he had 1, and he has 6 this year in 11 starts. So I would also think that's probably, honestly, the 1A of the biggest surprises this season.
Yeah, it's also the thing that, oh man, these discussions we have about like the Cousins Crusaders and the Cousins haters, and I'm so fascinated by the people who have just adamantly for 5 years have said, like, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and now you're changing your tune. It's like, no, the people that were hard on him, led by us, I suppose, between 2018 and let's say 2020, 2021, what was the number one thing we were begging for? Rise up when your team needs you the most, when your team needs you to bail you out in the fourth quarter, when things aren't going smoothly, when the opposing team is getting pressure on you, when you're trailing by a touchdown or more in the second half. Can you kind of put the team on your shoulders a little bit and still push the ball down the field and stand up in the face of it? And he didn't do that really ever. Maybe once or twice per season maximum. That Broncos game we all talk about from 5 years ago when they were down 20-0, right? He's doing that on a more regular basis. He is brushing himself off after bad interceptions and still throwing the ball 20 yards down the field to a double-covered Justin Jefferson. So he's getting more praise because he deserves it, because he's doing things that he wasn't doing early in his Vikings career. And it's been super fun to watch.
And for the most part, too, now in the Patriots game, statistically, he was good. But, it's funny because the Crusaders have always defended the statistics. And it's like the rest of us have been like, yeah, but does the team win? And then immediately we get back, quarterback wins don't matter. Wins don't matter. Statistics matter. So really, this isn't the Cousins that we have known as a Viking at all. This is a very different Cousins because for the most part, stats-wise, we're not seeing the production. We don't care because he is winning games. And, they should put Kirk Cousins 2022 in a time capsule and bury it with a note that says, this is why quarterback wins matter. Because Kirk Cousins has had a massive impact on the wins. So like this whole thing about it's the entire team. Okay, that's cool. But sometimes it's the most important guys who have to step up. And Kirk Cousins, and in particular Jefferson, have done a marvelous job of stepping up. And I'm not going to discredit that and say, yeah, but, Cousins, hold on a second. It's the entire team. The team's winning these games. Kirk has no real impact beyond Ed Ingram. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. This year is why quarterback wins at least have to be talked about because, previously the Crusaders all said, well, look at the stats, look at the stats, look at the stats. And we would say, Okay, but look at the wins and look at when, to your words, Phil, he rises up or doesn't. So, like, this is a very important tutorial to me on forget his contract. If I have my choice of what I'm going to get from a quarterback, I'm going to take door B, which is 2022, long before I take door A, which is 2018 through 21.
Yeah, and I will put a warning label on this for my perspective. I don't think quarterback wins are really an attributable thing until you get to like a much bigger sample size. Otherwise, you could look at the 11 or 12 win season Mitch Trubisky had like 5 years ago and say, see, there's all sorts of factors for why the Vikings are 9-2, and you could make a strong case that Kirk Cousins is less of a factor overall because he hasn't been great for 3 hours every Sunday. I think the game against the Patriots was probably the most complete game he has played across the board, even though there were a couple. He tried to throw a pick six in there, and there was another interception. But he was just relentlessly attacking down the field. But to where I agree with you is he's sort of showing you if the 2018 through 2020-ish version of Kirk was maybe a great scripted drive, and then maybe you're great in low leverage situations or games, Lions at noon, or you're already out to a comfortable lead or something. But when it's time in a close game or you're down by 7 late to do something, he failed almost all the time. That you'd rather have it be the other way. That maybe he's not a train wreck, for 3 hours, but he's not playing as well as he normally would be. But when the moment calls for it, he's aggressive and he's doing all the things. That version of Kirk has more of an impact on team wins than the previous version of Kirk. So that's where I agree with you.
Yes, and he's also doing it with a defense that's not great. Because it's case by case. We could argue that Keenum in 17, as fun as that was, and as well as he played at times, he had a defense that could lift him too. So in this case, Kirk is literally being told in the fourth quarter, hey buddy, we're trailing again. What can you do for us? And he does it. I would have, if you had asked me before the year, okay, Kirk is going to be the man in the fourth quarter, I would have said, hold on a second here. Yeah, no, I just can't see that. But yeah, I think when you look at the Vikings defense and what Kirk has done and what Jefferson has done, and the fact that they really don't get a boost at all from that side of the ball for the most part, that becomes an incredibly important part of the fact that why Kirk deserves a ton of credit.
Yeah. All right, Jed, give us one more pleasant surprise from the season.
My pleasant surprise is as a whole, but there's a player in particular, the offensive line. The offensive line, we've been curious about it, why it's been so bad in pass protection. We flat out said in training camp, if it doesn't improve, the whole notion that Kirk Cousins is going to be successful might be sunk. And in particular, Garrett Bradbury. Garrett Bradbury has held his own. And I was, and Phil, if you were Cousins' biggest critic, then I was Bradbury's. I mean, I thought he was a bust. I thought there was no way. I did not see, and I said this, how Kevin O'Connell and that coaching staff could take this guy to a place that was consistently good enough to provide protection, but they have. And so he might get paid. I don't know. My guess is it very well might not be here, but the offensive line and Bradbury have been a pleasant surprise. And in some ways, at times with how Bradbury plays, I'm actually sort of shocked because he was such a train wreck for a while.
So PFF has him right now, of the 40 qualified centers, they have him as the 10th highest graded center in the NFL.
Yeah.
Pass protection, which is still a little shaky from week to week. So he's actually allowed the second most pressures of any. I don't know how this works. So he's allowed the second most pressure of any centers, pressures of any center. But he has the 11th best pass protection grade. So I think what that tells you is he's been excellent. Even like there, and Boone has broken down some of these clips on the Trenches episodes, where he'll do something to bail out Ingram or bail out Cleveland.
Right.
He'll wind up, touch point with one defensive lineman early in the play, and then a second later, boom, he's moving to his right, moving his hips, or whatever, and he's blocking two guys on one play. So I think what this is telling you is he still gives up probably too many pressures, but he's been great across the board on the non-pressure plays. And only 2 of the 22 pressures he's allowed this year have been sacks. So he's only allowed 2 sacks this season, which is worth noting. So it's one thing to allow a pressure.
Right.
There's different types of pressure. If that pressure is getting home, then Houston, we have a problem, right?
Yes. And he's playing by a guy on his right who definitely needs help. So like I wonder if Ingram was a couple steps up. I'm curious what Bradbury's pressure rate would be then, because I think you're probably right. I think he probably has to help a lot. But previously, the last 3 years or so, it was always who's going to help Bradbury.
Yeah.
Who's going to help Garrett? And now it's like, no, you know what? He's okay.
By the way, so Eddie Ingram, 49, let's see here.
I know this isn't good. The rest of the line I like, but
87 qualified guards this season.
Yep.
Ed Ingram has given up the most pressures, and it's not close. So he's given up 44 pressures. The second worst is 35. Kenyon Green from Houston. So, but they keep running him out there. He has a big ceiling and upside. I just wonder at some point, gosh, that's so many pressures. Could you throw Chris Reed in there or Austin Schlottman?
He was active
or
last
somebody
game.
else?
Chris Reed was actually active.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
So, all right, we'll get to the other side of this coin here as well. But tonight, so we're recording this on a Monday. This is our Monday Purple Daily episode. From, I don't know, like 6 o'clock until sometime into the night, we're calling it an impromptu gathering to watch some Monday Night Football. We're going to hang out at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park, Judd.
We are indeed. It's going to be fun, and we are going to be in around 6 o'clock, as Phil said, in the bar that is towards the bowling alley on the right-hand side. So not the first bar, but bar 2, where we will gather. We'll talk purple. We'll talk wild. We're gonna force Phil to talk Wolves. We're gonna absolutely force him to, as he talks about the 50+ wins. And if you're there, guess what? Pick up a gift card, because I am holding right here a Black Friday gift card, $100 gift card, and the best part, a $50 bonus gift card comes with that. And now I'm going to tell you that, yes, this offer passed on Friday. It's now down to a $25 bonus from Park Tavern, except if you mention Score North. So if you're there for Score North, you mention Score North, this offer actually goes through December. Must buy one in person. Park Tavern, though, a great place for groups, as you will see tonight. It's a massive building. It's a lot of fun. And so Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue South, St. Louis Park. We will see you there. Let's enjoy some Surly's.
Nice. Yep. Also, our friends at Underdog are helping us have more fun during this 2022 football season, Dex.
Yeah, our listeners are just cashing in the pick'em slips here. Alex sent me this one. Your 5 picks for $400. Alex, show me your ways here. He took the overs on Tua, overs on Patrick Mahomes.
Wow,
over
it's an
Geno
all
Smith.
quarter. Look at the quarterbacks.
The quarterback passing yards over. He wrote it. Little 5-item parlay for him, and he gets a nice little payday from Underdog Fantasy, which is the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. And when you join Underdog Fantasy with promo code SCORE, SKOR, they will match your first deposit up to $100. Don't be like me and take an under on Steph Curry, because if you do that, like I did yesterday, you have to. Well, no, I didn't take the under on Steph Curry. Excuse me. Okay. I took the Rivals pick of +9 Anthony Edwards points, rebounds, assists over Steph Curry.
What?
And that didn't work either. Actually, it was very close. It was 1 point off.
Well, yeah. The only reason why it was very close is because the Warriors were in garbage time 9 minutes in. Yes. And Steph got a technical mocking an official from the bench in the fourth quarter because he wasn't playing anymore.
Right. So don't do that. But you can join Underdog Fantasy with promo code SCORE, SKOR. First deposit up to $100.
Ridiculous. And then also a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been helping us grow our business. They are tied into several different Minnesota sports teams as well with partnerships. And they measure their success at Federated for over 100 years by the success of your business. They are a great guiding hand to help you navigate the sometimes choppy waters that you can encounter as a business owner. Just go to the website, federatedinsurance.com, and find out more about how they can potentially help your business. Federated, where it's our business to protect yours. Okay, I'll throw the first one in terms of things that have sort of surprised us, not pleasant surprises, unpleasant surprises. Mm-hmm. And I thought, regardless of scheme, because if you look at the first 7 games from last season when Danielle Hunter was healthy, the Vikings actually, in about 5 or 6 key measurable areas, were one of the top 10 to 12 defenses in the league until Danielle Hunter got hurt, and then the wheels came off for the last 2/3 of the season. And so I thought, you can run a 3-4, you can run a 4-3, you can run a 46 defense that the Bears ran 30 years ago. I don't care. As long as Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith are healthy, you're going to have a good defense. Well, those guys have been healthy. And those guys among edge rushers so far this year, Zadarius still leads all edge rushers, including Micah Parsons, in pressures. So Zadarius has 61 pressures. Micah Parsons, in the same number of games, 11, has 7 fewer pressures. Wow. So that's the type of season Zadarius Smith has been having. Mm-hmm. And Danielle Hunter is tied for 10th in pressures. They've both played all 11 games. Zadarius has been banged up a little bit here and there, but they've both played in all 11 games. And yet the Vikings have the second worst defense in yards per play allowed and one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So I am unpleasantly surprised that despite those guys being healthy and relatively productive, that they just haven't been better as a unit defensively.
Something along the way then isn't clicking and working, right? Because like you would think, but what's weird about it is this: there's been games where they've definitely designed things to get pressures, and you can see it, and it sort of works. And then there have been games like the Patriots game where Mac Jones just sort of packs a lunch and goes back into the pocket and pulls out a blanket and his lunch and sits down, eats the lunch, and then delivers a pass. So I'm with you. I think it's probably a multitude of things. I am not excusing Donatel. I think he has not done a great job because this team shouldn't be giving up that many yards consistently, and the points per game has actually gone up or down, not in a good way too. But yeah, I didn't expect this defense to be great. I sure as hell though didn't expect it to be, I believe, ahead of only the Detroit Lions in yards.
Yeah.
And you know, we've talked for a long time because the fact that the league uses yards offensively and defensively to sort of like say my offense is this or defense is this, in my opinion, is flawed. But I can't get around being 31st. Can you? That's my thing.
It doesn't add up. And then you look at some of the other. Generally, if you have a guy or two that pressures opposing quarterbacks at a high rate, your defense is going to be at least respectable. And so some of the other guys on this list, like Micah Parsons, the Dallas defense, very respectable.
Right. Not
lights out, but very respectable. Nick Bosa is on this list. He's 4th for San Francisco. That's a great defense. They just shut out an opponent, the Saints, right, yesterday. Matthew Judon and Dietrich Wise Jr. are on this list, both in the top 15 for New England. That's the best scoring defense in the NFL going into this last week's games. Montez Sweat for Washington, another good. So usually if you have an edge rusher, Von Miller for Buffalo, if you have an edge rusher that gets after quarterbacks, it's automatically like you have at least a league average defense because that's the hardest thing to find. And the Vikings have 2 of them. How do you have 2 of those guys? They're the only team that has 2 of them. How do you have 2 of those guys and your defense is a sieve like this yardage wise? It's maybe it's not either or, but it's either a huge schematic problem led by Ed Donatel and led by Kevin O'Connell because he's the head coach, or the other players that surround them, especially on the back end with the secondary, are so bad that it somehow overtakes all the pressures that are being generated by the Vikings. Now, also in fairness, once you get past these 2 guys, there aren't that many other players on this team that generate pressures. Harrison Phillips, Dalvin Tomlinson, DJ Wanham, it's not like these guys are Aaron Donald-like machines. So it's kind of a 2-man pressure game for the Vikings. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense how you have this many pressures coming from those 2 guys. They're both healthy, and your defense is a train wreck yardage-wise.
You would think that your cornerbacks are awful. And Patrick Peterson's actually, I think, been very good.
Yeah.
It is weird. Like the numbers, the individual grades for players on defense don't track what we're seeing statistically for the entire team.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it totally. Like, and the other weird thing is this, and I don't think it's just me because it's been discussed. Danielle Hunter is still getting pressure, but I can't remember a year in his career beyond like his first year where I haven't seen him that much. Like I just don't see him there. He would blow things up, and it wasn't just sacks. He would so consistently blow things up, blow plays up, right? And you'd be like, oh my God, there he is again. I haven't said that, and I think he's at 7 sacks, but I have not said that much at all. It's like, it's very weird because he's got the sacks, he's got the pressures, but it's like I don't see him that much, and I can't explain that totally.
Yeah, well, I think so. Danielle has 7 sacks according to Pro Football Focus, but he only has 4 additional hits on quarterbacks, and hits are down across the board the last 5 years because you just can't touch a quarterback. But like Nick Bosa, for instance, has 10 sacks and then 16 additional hits of quarterbacks. So it looks to me like, and this would validate the eye test, that while Danielle Hunter is getting credited with pressures that move the quarterback off of a spot, they aren't pressures that derail a play or put a quarterback on the ground or a strip sack or any of those things. It's like it's a little bit more of a mild pressure from Danielle Hunter this year, from what the stats are telling us.
I like that mild pressure. That's
mild
good.
pressure.
That's like that's
right.
MPs, PFF. Get with it.
We need more major pressures.
Mild. Yeah, good point.
All right, Dex, give us another unpleasant surprise.
I'll give you one. KJ Osborn's like not emergence as a wide receiver 3. As a legit, I should say more of a legit 3 deep kind of option, because he is a wide receiver 3. He's the 3rd best receiver on this team, but I thought there was more here. I thought there was a little bit more in the tank, and he looks more like just a 3rd wide receiver who can maybe stretch the field a little bit, and he's shown some big playability this season. But I thought there was another step to his game. And I wouldn't say last year was a fluke by any means, but I do think last year's probably his peak of who he is as a wide receiver.
Yeah. This would have been the year where you got Thielen kind of banged up for the first half of the season. Your tight ends weren't really a huge factor in the passing game. It was kind of just Justin Jefferson's show. And we were waiting for someone to step in, and he really hasn't. So maybe KJ Osborn just winds up being a good, solid depth guy as like a number 4 receiver at some point. But yeah, I agree. I thought he would, after having 700 yards in an inferior system last year, I thought he'd be more of a factor too.
He had a great training camp too. So a year ago at this time, he had 31 catches for 365 yards and 2 touchdowns. Right now, through 11 games, so it's the same amount of games, 28 receptions, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns.
So not super far off, but less. So he kind of throttled down the last month and a half of last year.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, in watching him in training camp, to what Declan is saying, I really thought that there would be an emergence here where he would be more of a 2B to Thielen's 2A. And that has not happened. And what's weird is, if you go back and watch this, I think that there's at least 2 or 3, if not more, of Kirk's picks that have been intended. Yeah. For KJ. Probably. And it's not even it's probably not his fault. But
it's not just, KJ. There's a couple of them have sailed high.
Yes, it's not KJ's fault. But the point is, like, if they were trying to establish that more, it definitely has not worked. Which I could argue is not a great thing because, again, Thielen is slowing down. If you get the ball in KJ's hands, I think that there's more to offer in the yak conversation. And with Thielen, he's going to make the catch. I don't think he's going to go very far with it after that.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks very, very, very hobbled. All right, Judd, give us your unpleasant surprise.
Oh, mine's.
Do we have to have? Does Declan need to put the earmuffs on for this one?
No, you know what? I don't even want to debate this right now. I'm just going to tell you we were each picking an unpleasant surprise, and I'm going to give you mine. And it is the kicking of a guy who had also, much like AJ, great training camp, Greg Joseph. The facts are the facts. From 49 yards and in on field goals, he's very damn good. Unfortunately, when it comes to extra points, he's missed 5. which is weird because that's a 37-yard field goal. And so that's 49 yards and in. And if it's a regular 3-point attempt, he's fine. And then on 50-plus yarders, he is 1 for 6, which you know what? If this was 1976, guys, it'd be absolutely fine. It'd be fine.
He should try lining up. You were looking for solutions. Has he tried lining up straight on, like the kickers from the 60s?
Yeah, Fred Cox.
They just like swung their legs straight
Rick Danmeyer. Yeah, it was just like this. The leg went like this. But if we were ever going to do a show on a very sick-sedated show on things that were going to submarine this team in a playoff game, Ed Ingram is one for sure, because like that swinging gate guard could be a problem. Greg Joseph, though, might be my top one. You know, you trail by 3. Kirk O'Chains has led this great drive from, let's say the 1 to the whatever, and now it's a 55-yard Greg Joseph attempt to save the season, to prolong it, to keep it going. I'm very concerned about that right now.
Yep. I'd ask Declan to jump in here, but we've already done that twice in the last week.
We don't need to argue
know where
about
everyone stands on this, so we'll just let Judd's commentary be the commentary there. So those are your 2022 pleasant and unpleasant surprises. Actually, I'll give you another pleasant surprise. The Green Bay Packers being an absolute train wreck. And last night, I don't want to tap dance on a guy's grave. Now he's got a broken thumb, and now he was worried about a punctured rib potentially, or lung. A rib puncturing his lung, and that's why he went out of the game last night. Aaron Rodgers is probably not going to play much the rest of the year. But this is Packer Vent Line, courtesy of our friends, I think, on the fan in Green Bay.
I'm disgusted. I think it's time that Pee Wee Herman and his whole crew go bye-bye. I mean, there are some decisions that are being made that are just ridiculously stupid. And then, the first 3 possessions by each unit in this game was a complete nightmare. Matt LaFleur has an issue. He thinks complimentary football means you compliment the other team all to death.
Pee Wee Herman? Is that that's what we're calling him, Pee Wee Herman?
That is fantastic. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, I've never looked at him like that. Now I won't be able to unsee it.
You won't.
He does look a little like Pee Wee Herman, maybe. If you gave him like the super white makeup, maybe. Oh.
Jair Alexander, is he really a Packer person? I mean, he makes all this stuff where he makes a play where he pretends to crawl on the ground. What a joke he is when he gets burnt all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand this. We overpaid. So that goes right back to the GM. We overpaid for players that we thought were better. Kenny Clark didn't do anything today. Jair Alexander overpaid. The draft choice, like the gentleman just said, you draft the first-round guy and you can't even get on the field. This all goes back to the GM. I truly believe they got to change the GM, they got to change the head coach, and they got to change the defense coordinator because this is not looking good.
This is going to blow it up. We're going to blow it up.
Is he a Packer person?
What does that even mean?
That's my question.
Is he a Packer person?
Are you a Packer? He crawls. I mean, if we're going to start to get down on guys for celebrations that include crawling, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. What is a Packer person?
I have no idea.
Like Brett Favre, is it? Well, you see one and you know one. Brett Favre is a Packer person. Donald Driver is a Packer person.
Yep, Jordy Nelson.
Oh God,
Jordy Nelson
with a star, with a gold star.
Leroy Butler is a Packer person. John Kuhn.
Oh,
but not Jair Alexander. I don't even think Aaron Rodgers is a Packer person.
That's what I was just going to say. I think Aaron is not a Packer person. I love it. And if you are not a Packer person, I don't care if you're good or not. Get off my team.
Get off my plane.
You got to have so many things go right, and we have had about 12 million things go wrong. Offensive line, wide receiver, missing tackles. That's my point. It's not one or two things. It's a lot of things. We've had a lot of bad luck, and that's the problem with it. You know, it's not just we're not playing well. We've had everything you can imagine go against us.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Missed tackles are not bad luck. They're a lack of fundamental execution.
Well, is he suggesting that the season is bad luck, or is he saying? I took it to mean like everything's been bad.
No, he said.
I
bad
thought
luck.
it was a pretty level-headed call. Okay.
Oh, he said bad luck. No, he's trying to say that like the team sucking is bad luck.
Yeah, that's not true. You're just I
Believe
don't think
us,
you
we
lose
know.
this many games and it just be chalked up to bad luck.
You know what? The last 2 years of Vikings football was not bad luck.
What were the preseason odds? Could you, if you wanted to put in a parlay, if you wanted to fade the Packers and the Rams playoff odds, if you said, I want to put money on the Packers and the Rams in a parlay, both missing the 7-team NFC playoff field, I'd love to know what that pays. Because those teams are both on life support with, I think, like 6 games left. I think they'd have to basically run the table, right? Both the Rams and the Packers. Are the Packers at 8 losses now?
Yeah, I think they're at a 1% chance to a 2% chance to make the playoffs. I think per ESPN's FPI.
They're 4-8, right?
Yeah,
Because I think their bye is to come, which is incredible that there's still buys going on at this point in the season. But that's enough.
They haven't had a bye yet. Wow.
No, they haven't had their bye.
Got a quarterback he's got ribs poking through his lungs. He's got a broken thumb. Oh, man. Broken ego.
Has Joe Barry been fired yet? Because you know what? Anybody that calls up today and complains about the offense, like whatever, fine. You're just complaining about something to complain about something on offense. You scored 33 points. You should win the damn football game. We gave up over 300 yards rushing. And you know what? This is Joe Barry coaching for basically his job. He knows it. He has to know it.
He's right. He is right about that.
Dude, didn't they give up 120 yards rushing to Jalen Hurts in the first quarter last night?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yes, that is correct. How do you, and this is coming from a guy who in recent years has seen inefficient run defenses. I mean, Philadelphia, every time they touched the ball, chunked off about 5 yards, at least, minimum.
Yeah. Where on the Packers bingo card was trailing the Lions in the standings going into December? Did anyone in Green Bay have that on their bingo card? Trailing the Lions going into December in the NFC North standings.
I thought this would happen to the Packers last year, and at the start of this year, I said on this show, I am not going to write them off now until I see it, because I don't believe it now. I mean, what? LaFleur won, is it 3 consecutive years of 13 wins?
LaFleur was the coach for a team.
Well, Rodgers won 13. The point is they had 3 consecutive, I think they had 39 wins in a 3-year period. So
people were, I mean, credit to LaFleur because he came in and took advantage of a good roster in Aaron Rodgers, but I think you're kind of seeing, too, how much of an influence when you have Aaron Rodgers at his peak versus Aaron Rodgers, and then you take away some of his weapons, and he's not really happy anymore. A little harder to coach a team to 13 wins when you don't have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time fully bought in and healthy.
And the defense was supposed to be good.
Yeah, it hasn't been. No.
Yeah, I think.
Anyways, there's a Packer Vent Line courtesy of our friends on the Fan in Green Bay. Judd, real quick, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How much do you love football?
More than almost anything. Dawn before football, Stella before football, and then probably football.
You love football quite a bit?
Okay. I love football.
I'm not sure if you love football as much as this guy loves football. Dan Campbell doesn't just like football. Dan Campbell loves football.
That doesn't happen by accident. Everything we talked about, we stayed the course, what you guys have done, man. And we're playing some pretty clean, physical football, man.
Football!
Football, yeah! Football! Football!
Gotta eat!
You know what? When we talk, as we have on this show for years, about shelf life of coaches, when we talk about that, you play... And look, I get it. In the heat, the passion of the moment, Dan Campbell is probably great. But you play a Campbell clip and an O'Connell clip, and you tell me what's sustainable. Like, what's the message that you're going to continue to? At some point in time, that Campbell act is like, okay, dude, we've been down this road before. O'Connell freshens it up. He's got that to me is the shelf life conversation.
But what is because O'Connell is fired up in his post gamers too. He's going back and forth and he's all hopped up. What is the difference? Forget about what they look like. Like Dan Campbell looks like a rockhead buffoon, right? And O'Connell looks a little more cerebral.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even tell you why exactly, but like Dan Campbell just kind of looks like a buffoon, right?
Dan Campbell is like red right there. He looks like a tomato.
Yeah, but that shouldn't. Andy Reid looks like a tomato, and he's cerebral.
I
guess what I'm saying is, what is it about Dan Campbell that makes you think I agree there's a shelf life, but
yeah, because with Dan Campbell, I think that you could probably say there is a definite, and he might not even totally mean this, but there is an act there. He's football guy. He's football guy. Like if you were to if I was to go into a classroom and say, kids, draw football guy, they ain't drawing Kevin O'Connell.
A sketch artist would draw a guy that looks sort of like Dan Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I got mugged by a guy and they took me to the police station and I sat down with the sketch person and they said, "Who mugged you, Judd?" I'd say, "Draw football guy." And they draw Dan Campbell. Right. And they'd be like, "Wanted, Dan Campbell." Kevin O'Connell. I mean, I just think the way, and this could change, I have no clue, but I love the way right now that I think the O'Connell approach works. It's somewhere between being intense but understanding.
Yeah, it's
he's super intense, but he's
intense but empathetic. Like he's not. Dan Campbell feels like he's out of control.
Yes.
A little bit. Kevin O'Connell feels like he's very much in control. Like Sean McVay feels like he's very much in control.
Empathetic's a great word because I think it's something a lot of football people lack. And not everyone, so I think you have to have the right personality. But I'll give you the best example of the guy who had it just right, Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy had that because he had the respect. He was a really good speaker. And he was in control. But the empathy part to me is absolutely huge because football, and I'm not surprised by this, lacks that thing badly. Lacks empathy.
And Tony Dungy could beat anyone in a staring contest. He hasn't blinked since he got, I don't know if he got let go by the Colts or not, but it's been about 20 years since he's blinked. Let's get into Judd guesses the PFF grades here on Purple Daily, where we put a longtime football observer, former beat writer, a guy that has covered football in many different forms for decades. We put his eye test. What did he see? His eye test up against the analytical grading of Pro Football Focus. And this little game is presented by a new partner of ours here on Purple Daily, a place that my wife have gone on a couple dates in the past, Chanhassen Dinner Theater out in the Western Burbs.
You know what Sports Dad is all about? As the holiday season now is basically here, Sports Dad is all about taking care of you guys. Because you know what, guys? We've been there, all of us. Oh my God, Christmas is coming. The holidays are here. What am I going to get my wife? What am I going to get my mom? What am I going to get my girlfriend? Sports Dad is here to tell you there are several options, but here's a great one. It is, yes, it is a gift card to the Chanhassen Dinner Theater, and it is the perfect gift idea. It lets you pick what you want to see, and there's something for everyone. I'm going to start out with a Phil Mackey favorite, a big splashy musical on stage. Footloose, The Prom. Dude. How about Jersey Boys?
Let's dance. Give me all of these, dude. I'm a big fan of the theater lifestyle, okay? And so Chanhassen Dinner Theater for me is wheelhouse material, yes.
But I'm not done yet because there is that concert series, tribute concerts with everything from cover bands from the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, Sinatra, Patsy Cline, all right? And then the last one is, so if you're like, you know what, music's not our thing, a musical would be good, but what else? I got a third one for you. The comedy improv show with Stevie Ray's. It's where the crowd suggests ideas and the folks on stage then respond and come up with skits. Another Phil Mackey favorite.
I took an improv class like 8 years ago. One of the most fun things I've ever done. It was great. Like a 12-week thing. So yes, go support Chanhassen Dinner Theater.
Oh, wait, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I got one more. Because
the
now
show's
you're
almost
saying,
over. So if you
now
can,
you're saying, what am I going to eat? And I'm going to tell you a great steak, prime rib, the famous Chicken Chan. Visit chanhassendt.com, chanhassendt.com. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Your mom, your wife, your girlfriend is going to love it. There, now I'm
amazing.
done.
All right. Okay. All right. Now it's time for Judd to guess the PFF grades here. We're looking for the 3 best offensive performers in the game against the Patriots. You get 3 incorrect guesses.
Yep. Offensively. All right, Justin Jefferson.
Sorry, I have my.
Oh, no worries.
I'm on the wrong page here because I'm in the studio. I
didn't know if I had.
am.
I didn't know if I had.
Is it a ding?
Okay, there you go. He's number 1. He was the number 1 graded player offensively for the Vikings. Yes.
All right. I am going to guess. Now, I'm sure, again, as I always say, the O-line factors in here. What happened to Declan?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
He has yet to put in an order for a new camera, even though we've been talking about this for 6 months.
You know what? We don't have a camera problem here at Score North.
We do not.
We do not have a camera problem.
Find me a link to a camera, and I will fill out the paper.
I love how this annoys Phil, too. This is great. All right. I'm going to guess because of how he finished the game. I'm going to guess Kirk Cousins because he finished very strong. He did throw for a lot of yards.
He was the 2nd highest graded player offensively for the Vikings.
That's how I have him. I have it Jefferson, Cousins. Now I am thinking offensive line because it almost always factors in that there's one offensive lineman. And there should be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Brian O'Neill.
He was 4th.
Oh!
So close.
Oh, I am on fire today.
So close.
Am I barking up the right tree? Am I in the right ballpark here, offensive line? Because it wouldn't be Ingram.
What's your specific question? Yeah, you're barking up the right tree in that you are naming offensive players.
No, offensive line. Am I right in saying that the offensive line would be the third guy?
You are incorrect.
Okay.
Incorrect.
Okay. Then I'm going to go with T.J. Hawkinson.
T.J. Hawkinson was the 6th highest graded player offensively.
Okay, so
he was fine.
Okay.
No real train wrecks on offense in this game. A couple guys that were kind of meh, but no real train wrecks.
Okay, Dalvin Cook did nothing really as far as that went, so it's not him. Offensive line. It's not offensive line. Wide receiver. PFF grades are a little bit weird sometimes, so Adam Thielen. He caught a touchdown.
That's right. He caught 9 passes, not a lot of yards after the catch or anything like that.
Right.
Only 61 yards, but he had that red zone catch and did a pretty good job in other areas too. So yes, Adam Thielen was the 3rd highest graded player for the Vikings offensively.
So I got it within.
There you go.
Got 2 wrong.
Yep. The 3 worst players for the Vikings in this game, and again, there was nothing. No one had a grade below a 55 out of 100. Dalvin Cook was the worst graded player. Blake Brandel, or Brandel or Brandel? What are we saying? Brandel. Brandel. Naga.
I mean, playing tackle here.
He's not gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna. If things go right, he'll be back on the bench. We won't have to worry about it.
And then Ed Ingram was the 3rd worst graded player.
Okay.
Which is actually
a step up.
Kind of an upgrade there for him.
Brandel got
we'll take it.
Absolutely smoked on the 1 sack against Kirk. I wonder if he hadn't given that up, what his grade would have been, because I felt like otherwise it seemed like he held up.
Yeah.
And he certainly got help from chipping and tight ends.
All right, now we need the 3 best defensive players for the Vikings.
Okay, this was I struggled with this one. I've got 3 names written down, but I struggled, and I'm not very confident I'm going to get this right before I hit 3 buzzers. Danielle Hunter.
He was the 3rd worst graded player that played at least 20 snaps in this game.
Okay, because it can't be Z, because Zadarius Smith I didn't feel like had a great game. All right, I'm now going to go to the secondary to make my first hopefully correct guess. Cam Bynum.
He was the second worst graded player for the Vikings.
Okay, I am really
He missed some tackles and
Those field glasses out, Zolgad.
yeah. Did you have the field goggles on backwards?
No, I had the field glasses out
Those
in
guys
play.
look really small.
They gave up a lot of yards. I'm going to struggle here because I don't know who played really well. All right, my third. I just don't. I mean, they gave up a ton of yards. All right, so I've guessed 2 of the worst so far. So now I'm going for the 3 worst, and hopefully we'll get those all right, and then I'll take the victory. Boy. I don't know.
He's lost, folks. He's lost.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson.
He was the third best.
Okay.
He's back. He's back.
Pat P.
Yeah, but who that? I mean, okay, so they weren't. Harrison Phillips.
Pat P. Was targeted only twice in that game. 2 catches for only 22 yards.
Yeah, because he had he had the Duke of Shelley off to his right.
Yeah, the Duke of Shelley. 6 catches, 7 targets for 87 yards.
Yeah.
You said Harrison Phillips.
Yes. All right.
He was the 5th best.
Okay.
The number 1 graded player defensively in this game was a man who generated 5 pressures, had a small handful of tackles. Za'Darius Smith
was Za'Darius Smith.
So even when Za'Darius isn't necessarily playing at his best, he's impacting the game in a positive way, is what this is saying. And then Eric Kendricks was the 2nd highest graded player.
No. Oh,
Yes.
PFF. No, get out of here.
Kendricks, when targeted in the passing game, 6 catches in 7 targets for 70 yards, 33 yards after the catch. He did have a pass breakup and some tackles, so I don't know about this one.
I don't
And
like that
then
one at all.
Jordan Hicks was kind of like middle of the pack here. He was targeted 5 times, 5 catches, 98 yards, including 82 yards after the catch. So between Kendricks and Hicks, they allowed like 120 yards in yak and 11 catches on 12 targets.
Yeah. PFF, you know what? I don't like those 2.
But it's tough to find.
The linebacker.
And by the way, like these guys it wasn't just like, oh, they were the highest graded players on a group that was graded low. Za'Darius Smith and Eric Kendricks both had grades over 80 out of 100 in this game. So I would be curious to know, okay, if you have a couple guys playing that well in this game, how do you give up that many yards? It was like 8 yards per play or something absurd that they were giving up.
Ed Donatel, he was the lowest graded as far as I'm concerned.
What's his PFF grade?
Yeah, Ed.
All right. Well, congrats to Judd for the effort here. It's a tough one. Plus, it's been, you're an older guy. Like, it's been a few days since this game was played, too, and you've probably had a lot to drink.
It's a holiday week. It was a holiday weekend. Let's just say the Surleys were flowing down the hatch the last few, okay?
Even though it's the holiday season, you can still stick to your disciplined plan. You can have fun and engage in some foods in a healthy way and stick to your plan of losing weight or maintaining a certain weight.
And that comes because of my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. It's weight control. It's not a diet. It's not a fad. It is a lifestyle change. And here's the best part. It's not hard to drop the pounds. And then they help you keep the pounds off. 40 pounds down, maintaining. And right now, save 50%. It's the best offer of the year. So if you're on the couch right now and you're like, the holiday season is coming, man, this is all hopeless. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. Get off the couch and do it before January 1st. Don't be a cliche. Be proactive. 50% off. 855-GO-LIVEA. Livia.com. 855-GO-LIVEA. Get yourself back in the game of life by dropping those pounds. Livia.com.
Boom. All right, dudes. Good show here today. We're back after a long weekend, and the Vikings have another really good defense on the horizon against the Jets. So we'll be talking about it throughout the week. Don't forget to Vikings Vent Line, the most fan-friendly interactive show in all of Minnesota sports, on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Click subscribe if you haven't already, and we will give you daily Vikings conversations and sometimes therapy as needed. We'll see you over on Mackie and Judd, our other daily show, and back on Purple Daily tomorrow.